Celebrities have to live their whole lives in the public eye. We can only imagine how horrifying and annoying that must get at times.
Sometimes the very thing you're looking for.
So it's no wonder that some of them lose the will to look after themselves. These are celebrities who seriously let themselves go. Number 15. Brendan Fraser. For those who love cult B-class movies, Brendan Fraser needs no introduction. He's funny, goofy, and those big, wide, piercing green eyes would make anyone faint. He's the hero in the Mummy franchise, and he was involved in so many blockbusters, it's hard to keep count. So, what happened to him? He was the most promising young Hollywood actor, and then radio silence. How come? Well, he basically got blacklisted in Hollywood, and it got more and more difficult for him to actually score an acting job. The big money producers realized after a while that for every major success that Brendan was involved in, there was also a cascade of absolute failures that were simply a waste of capital.
I'm glad to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Are you alright?
Oh, and also, he wouldn't just sit there and say nothing after being sexually assaulted, so they just stopped hiring him. And that would depress anybody, especially if you were on your way to becoming one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. That's when our beloved Brendan Fraser started letting himself go, and the man that was once kissing the pretty girls on the big screen was now missing his gym days and putting on a lot of weight.
Like this video, smash the subscribe button and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping.
Now it's time for the odd topic. Thanks to her stunning and groundbreaking performance in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, Shelley Duvall was once one of the most exciting stars in Hollywood, especially during the 70s and 80s. But the experience of making the film was deeply traumatizing. Kubrick was known for being something of a bully to work with, and nobody suffered under his mercurial ways quite like Duvall. While her career continued into the 90s, by the 2000s, she had all but vanished. Not dealing with the trauma of her days on The Shining set saw Duvall develop terrible mental health complications and, as a result, let herself go as she lost the ability to properly look after herself. Truly heartbreaking. As always, comment down below with the hashtag #OddTopic and let us know your opinion in relation to what we just showed on screen. With that said, let's keep things moving. Number 14. Russell Crowe. New Zealand's biggest star needs no introduction. He's best known for his role in Gladiator, which also won him an Oscar for Best Performance. He's also shared the big screen with the likes of Sharon Stone and many other major film stars. But where is he today? Well, he was recently spotted at Kingsford Smith Airport in Sydney, Australia, and he almost went unnoticed because he's literally unrecognizable. Usually, it's only female celebrities that get body shamed in the public eye, but Russell is the exception. He has suffered a cascade of thousands, if not more, comments about his body and the fact that he's out of shape for quite some time now. So much so that he has explicitly said he's getting tired of people commenting on his body. But in all fairness, he seems to have let go significantly. The once Hollywood sweetheart has put on a little bit of weight now, but by all means, he will always be a very handsome man, and a great actor at that. He loves changing his mind and body for a new role. He's an old school actor, but he also said that there's a downside to letting your shape go, which is that the older you get, the harder it becomes to get back into shape. Number 13. Diego Maradona. He's considered by many the greatest football player of all time. And if you ask any Argentinian person, they'll even tell you he was an actual god. There's even a Maradonian church in Argentina. He certainly made a mark on football history by winning against the British in the FIFA World Cup's quarterfinals by scoring a goal with his hand. Yeah, that's right, with his hand. He was an international star, the first of his kind, and he still has devoted fans all over the world. but he had one of the most terrible and dramatic downfalls in football history. When he went to play for the SSC Napoli in Italy, he started hanging out with a very bad crew of people. Basically, he became a pet for the Camorra, which is one of the most powerful and cruel mafias in Italy. During his time there, he succumbed to drug and alcohol abuse. He would miss training days and he would play matches without having slept. For anybody that's not a professional athlete, that would be very detrimental to their physical and mental health. But apparently, it's also extremely damaging for the almighty Diego Maradona. He'll always remain in our hearts as the underdog football player, but in his life, he did become a mockery, falling asleep in football stadiums and saying nonsense things on TV. Number 12. Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan had everything going for her. She started her career as a child actor and became instantly famous in Hollywood. But as we all know, childhood fame can be a very big burden to carry for some kids, having the entire world looking at you and having to work from such a young age with all the responsibilities it entails. Lindsay was set off to become the next American sweetheart, all till she started misbehaving. In 2007, she was arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol, and she officially disclaimed that her life had clearly become unmanageable because of her addiction to alcohol and drugs. Even though she only spent 84 minutes in jail, she did have to go through house arrest for over a month, electronic bracelet, and everything. She seemed to be getting better for a while, but she succumbed to the temptation once again and was found with drugs in her possession. The once sweet child that took over everyone's hearts with movies like The Parent Trap and Mean Girls is now a nightmare to work with, and for it, she has been blacklisted from Hollywood. Number 11. Leonardo DiCaprio. If you're a millennial, you've grown up admiring Leonardo DiCaprio. He was the guy that all guys wanted to be, and the guy that all girls wanted to date. His gorgeous blue eyes and blonde hair captivated the hearts of teenagers all over the world. He's also proven time after time that he wasn't just a pretty face, but also an incredible actor, with roles in major movies like Catch Me If You Can, Titanic, and The Wolf of Wall Street.
Will not hang up the phone until their client either buys.
He even finally won an Oscar for his memorable role in The Revenant for fighting a CGI bear. But today, he doesn't look as dreamy as he once did. Pictures of him at the beach with a clear beer belly have been swarming the internet for some time now. The great movie star that once dated all the biggest beauties in the world is now in the worst shape possible. For some, that might seem like a shame, but Leo seems very happy with his lifestyle. After all, it isn't for everybody to remain a sex symbol for an entire life. Number 10. Axl Rose. We've all danced to the rock and roll tunes of Guns N' Roses. The lead singer, Axl Rose, with his androgynous and raspy voice, has captivated millions of young people all over the world for decades. He might be considered one of the biggest rock stars of all time. And when you see the pictures of him at the height of his career back in the 90s, it's also obvious that he was also one of the major sex symbols of the past century. With cheekbones like his and his silky, long blonde hair, it's difficult to go unnoticed. And to top it all off, he did enjoy going on stage wearing next to nothing. But what does he look like today? His fans have been concerned for quite some time now for his impressive weight gain. And the peak of it happened in 2011 when he filled an entire arena in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, but none of the thousands of people in the public recognized him at first. He showed up with a strange yellow raincoat, sunglasses, and a black cowboy hat. Granted, it was raining pretty hard that day, but it all just seemed like a scheme to hide the fact that the former sexiest man on Earth had become a little out of shape, to say the least. Number 9. Robert Downey Jr. This is one of the greatest comeback stories in the entire history of Hollywood. Robert Downey Jr. was a teenage superstar. He was part of the Brat Pack with the likes of Demi Moore and Emilio Estevez. They appeared together in many teenage coming-of-age films during the 80s. But Robert didn't handle the fame as well as his co-stars. He had a very public downfall, turning to drug and alcohol abuse. he became a nightmare to work with. He would be late to shootings, and more than once he was literally a no-show. His behavior got so bad that slowly but steadily he became blacklisted in Hollywood. He was basically unhireable for many, many years. His addiction got so bad that he even got sentenced to a 3-year prison term at the California Substance Abuse Facility. But his story didn't end there. He took that opportunity to rearrange his priorities in life, and he was at the center of attention once again. But this time for his clean lifestyle and magnificent roles like Iron Man, The Avengers, and Sherlock Holmes. He now lives very happily in his farm with his family, and he continues to break box office records with every movie he's in. Number 8. Matthew Perry. We all know him as Chandler from the mega successful TV show Friends. During his time on the show, there were already concerns about his volatile weight. He seemed to be very skinny some seasons and then a little chubby in others.
This whole mentality, I was like, whatever I'm gonna do, I just don't wanna have to worry about that.
Although Clarkson's...
Well, it turned out that the TV star was keeping a very dark secret. Fame and money didn't keep him from suffering from depression, and as a consequence, he became addicted to some illicit substances and also to alcohol. He has addressed this issue publicly many times. He's now a spokesperson for mental health and for addiction. He's been clean for several years, and he's also opened a sober living facility in Malibu called the Perry House. But his devoted fans are still very worried about his recent weight gain. Matthew's been spotted at a restaurant in West Hollywood, Los Angeles, looking very puffy and unhealthy. Although he assures that he has successfully beaten addiction, people are still quite worried about his physical health. He definitely looks nothing like his glory days on the small screen. Number 7. Jaden Smith. He's Will Smith's son, but he's made a name for himself as an actor and also as a rapper. And he's had a very promising career as well, but for no apparent reason, he simply disappeared from the spotlight. It seems that for kids of celebrities, it's very difficult to leave their parents' shadow. And we would all agree that Will Smith is one of the biggest Hollywood and TV stars of the 20th and 21st centuries, so that's a heck of a shadow. At first, he shared the big screen with his father, but as soon as he tried to make it on his own, things didn't turn out to be as easy for him.
He's bigger than me, taller than me, and he's older than me, stronger than me.
He cut off his iconic dreads, and he started to say very bizarre philosophical and spiritual things in interviews. But the major downfall came after the young celebrity decided to adopt a vegan diet. That's when he lost a significant amount of weight, and he even had dark circles under his eyes. And now, it seems like nobody wants to cast him for any kind of roles in the film industry. It seems like he had a very short trip to stardom. Number 6. Macaulay Culkin. You can't talk about celebrities that let themselves go without talking about Macaulay Culkin. He was the epitome of a child star, with his debut in cinema being an international box office success, Home Alone.
I made my family disappear.
The angelic, blonde-haired little rascal that captivated families all over the world didn't stay innocent for long, it seems. Being the most successful child actor of his time wasn't enough to keep him from depression and drug abuse. It kinda had the opposite effect, actually. He was even arrested for possession of marijuana and 2 controlled substances and received 3 one-year suspended prison sentences. And then there was the Michael Jackson trial. Although Culkin categorically denied any molestation, the public remains unsure. All these turbulent things happened before Culkin even got to adulthood, and it all seemed to be too much to handle for the former child star. He eventually turned his back on Hollywood and was always looking very skinny and tired. He was absolutely unrecognizable from his younger days. He has since gotten in better shape, and he's now involved with an underground comic rock band called Pizza Underground. And he's even acting in small roles here and there, always with a touch of quirkiness and humor. Number 5. Catherine Bach. She was an up-and-coming TV star, best known for her role as Daisy Duke in the television series The Dukes of Hazzard and Margot Dutton in African Skies. She had 2 daughters with her second husband, Peter Lopez, and everything seemed to be going her way. She also became known worldwide for insuring her legs for a whopping $1 million. She's considered to be single-handedly responsible for the now untimely fashion trend of the denim cutoff shorts in the 80s.
Great grandma and grandpa, we have grandma and grandpa, we have their kids.
But on April 30th, 2010, Lopez's body was found on their lawn with a gunshot wound in his head. His death took a severe toll on the actress's mental health, and she experienced a slight downfall. She also put on a lot of weight and performed plastic surgery on her face that didn't seem to age well, pun intended. But it would seem that in recent years, she's back on the saddle. Since 2012, she plays a recurrent role in The Young and the Restless as Anita Lawson, and she's also been cast for the movie The Breakup Girl. Number 4. Johnny Depp. If you haven't been living under a rock, you've probably heard the name Johnny Depp a lot recently. The Hollywood superstar has been in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. First, there was the trial with his ex-wife Amber Heard for domestic disputes, and then 2 of his former bodyguards filed a lawsuit against him for allegedly not paying them for many hours of overtime and creating a toxic work environment.
I don't hear from anyone.
They've also said that they saw the Pirates of the Caribbean star engaging in taking illicit drugs at various occasions. It is no secret that Johnny likes to have a decadent and lavish lifestyle. He used to spend as much as $30,000 a month on wine alone. And most recently, his loving fans have raised concern about his appearance, as he seems to have lost a lot of weight and is looking quite frail. It would seem that being at the top of the tabloids for years because of the turmoil in one's life can discourage anybody, even Johnny Depp. But there's also the possibility that he's undergoing physical extreme changes due to his upcoming role of a college professor battling with a terminal illness diagnosis. Number 3. Yasmine Bleeth. You might be too young to remember the mega successful TV show Baywatch, but it was absolutely huge back in the 80s, where Yasmine Bleeth had the role of a lifeguard on a beach. She was the co-star of the megastars Pamela Anderson and David Hasselhoff, and they were both considered standards of beauty in their youth. She became an icon, running in the sand in her red one-piece swimming suit, saving people. But where is Yasmine Bleeth now, and what does she look like? Well, apparently, fame and money did not do good things to her mental health. It was all a bit too much for her to cope with on her own, so she turned to illicit substances to help her take the edge off.
Shrink in as much as you possibly can and still getting home in one piece.
That's Dick Clark.
And that quickly turned into a very serious addiction, which landed her in rehab several times and even got her arrested for possession of cocaine once. This made her lose a ton of weight, so much so that she was absolutely unrecognizable from her days on the small screen. But after she stopped acting to focus on herself, all the weight she had lost due to her addiction came back with a vengeance. She was recently spotted walking her dog, and she does not look like the 80s icon of beauty she once was. Number 2. Kelly Clarkson. Triple Grammy winner Kelly Clarkson has undergone a very palpable transformation recently. She has nearly 1 million followers on Instagram, and she sold 25 million albums in one release. She rose to fame by winning the first ever season of American Idol in 2002. When she became famous, this girl from Texas was somewhat of the definition of America's sweetheart. She was blonde, young, and with an angelic face, not to mention her superb singing voice.
Sometimes the very thing you're looking for.
Her rock star presence on stage and her southern sweetness truly made her the evident face of America, and nobody seemed to be able to stop talking about her. But she's recently become a recurrent appearance in the tabloids because of her weight gain. Now, her fans are criticizing her because apparently gaining weight in today's music industry is a big no-no. Her voice is still the same, and she's still making music. The star has also publicly said that she's happy the way she looks, and she doesn't feel the need to change her weight to make others happy. I would not call those people fans. Number 1. Nicole Eggert. And for the final topic, we have once again a former Baywatch blonde bombshell. Well, Nicole Eggert was a total sex symbol from the 80s, and it's easy to understand why, considering she only appeared on the small screen with a bright red swimsuit running around a Malibu beach saving people. She was a late addition to the show, only appearing from 1992 to 1994, but still, she managed to make her mark and have everybody talking about her. By now, she's in her 40s, and the paparazzi's not being very kind to her anymore. By 2010, she'd put on so much weight that she participated in the US weight loss show, The Celebrity Fit Club. It all started after the death of her father, which was very hard on her mental stability, and consequently, she gained 30 pounds and counting. The birth of her second daughter, Keegan, has also taken a toll on her weight, and she's had a lot of misfortunes in her love life. Her first serious relationship, actor Corey Haim, tragically died of an overdose in 2010.
Never like stressful or angry. He was just always trying to have a good time. Happy guy, friendly guy.
And she accused her most recent boyfriend, DJ Lethal, of domestic abuse. Hard times can certainly make a person let go of their physical health, and Nicole is no exception to that rule. As you can see, you can be one day the prettiest and most successful person on the planet, and the next, you can be the center of attention because you don't look very good anymore. We often forget that celebrities are real people with real-life problems. What about you? Do you think you would cope well with becoming famous? Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now. See you next time!